Hello, good morning. Where are the others? Please tell them to join soon.
ഹലോ മിസ്.
ഓക്കെ, പറഞ്ഞു.
മിസ്, ഇന്നത്തെ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ഇല്ലേ പ്രൊജക്ടിന്റെ,
അതെ.
അതിൽ നമ്മൾ എല്ലാവരും പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യണം.
കേട്ടില്ല. എല്ലാവരും
ഗ്രൂപ്പ് മെമ്പേഴ്സ്.
സെക്ഷൻ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്താൽ മതി.
ആ
എല്ലാവരും സംസാരിക്കണം.
അല്ല, 10 മിനിറ്റ് അല്ലേ ഉള്ളൂ.
അല്ല, 10 മിനിറ്റിന് ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഓരോരുത്തരൊന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി.
ഓക്കെ.
എല്ലാവരും ഈക്വലായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരാളുടെ പെർഫോമൻസിന് മാർക്ക് കുറയും. അപ്പോൾ ഈക്വൽ ഇൻവോൾവ്മെന്റ് വേണം സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ. കേട്ടോ?
ഓക്കെ.
12:20 അറിയാമല്ലോ അല്ലേ? അസൈൻമെന്റ് ടെസ്റ്റ് അവർ ലാസ്റ്റ് അവറിലേക്ക് ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തു. ഹലോ, കേൾക്കാമോ? നാല് പേരല്ലേ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളൂ ഈ സമയമായിട്ടും. minutes ക്ലാസ് ആണ്, അതിൽ 10 minutes ഇങ്ങനെ പോകും. So I'm going to present now. Please tell others to join soon. So yesterday we were speaking about the steps involved in embedded system design process. I think all the steps were discussed. Now the last section of this module is structural and behavioral modeling, or structural and behavioral description of a system. That is, we have to define the structure of the product that is going to be developed, or we have to design the structure of the product that we are going to develop, as well as the behavior of the product that we are going to develop. And structure involves the components and the interaction with each other, and behavior involves the response of the system to external inputs or external events. So how can we design the structure of the system, and how can we design the behavior of the system? Anyway, the system has not yet been implemented, so we are going to design the system, and once the design is perfect, then we go on to the next phase of implementation, as you do in your project. Like last semester, you have completed your design, and during the design phase, you should be ready with the representation of the system, actual representation of the system in either in figures or in the form of algorithms, etc. And you should be able to explain what the system means, what are the components that make up your system, what are the different units that you're going to develop, etc. should be specified in the design of your system. So likewise, here also we have to specify the structure of the system as well as the behavior of the system. To specify the structure as well as the behavior of the system, there should be a uniform mechanism or uniform method, so that everybody involved in the design can understand the system. So to make it a uniform, make it a uniform design. Excuse me 1 minute.
11 മണിക്ക് ഇതിന്റെ എല്ലാ HODs കയറാൻ അവറുണ്ടോ?
11 മണിക്കില്ല, പ്രോജക്ട് പ്രസന്റേഷൻ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. എവിടെയാ
ഇത്? ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റ് ആണ്, ഓണേഴ്സിന്റെ ഡിസ്കഷൻ.
ഓണേഴ്സിന്റെ
മെയിൽ അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. എല്ലാ HODയും കയറാൻ
ഇവിടെ ഓണേഴ്സ് എടുക്കുന്ന ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ?
ഡിസ്കഷൻ ആണ് ഇനി വരും.
ബിടെക് ഓണേഴ്സ് നേരത്തെ 15 ബാച്ചിലൊന്നും ആരും എടുക്കത്തില്ല. Okay, so to describe the structure as well as the behavior of the system, we need a uniform mechanism, and so a standard language has been developed for describing the structure as well as the behavior of the system, and this is called Uniform Modeling Language, or we call it as UML. I think you have studied it in third semester, that in detail about UML, the various diagrams in UML, etc., has been covered in fourth semester object-oriented programming, I think so. Isn't it? ഇല്ലേ തേർഡ് സെമസ്റ്റർ തേർഡ് ഓർ ഫോർത്ത് സെമസ്റ്റർ ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് ഓറിയന്റഡ് പ്രോഗ്രാമിംഗിൽ നിങ്ങൾ കവർ ചെയ്തില്ലേ UML, യൂണിഫൈഡ് മോഡലിംഗ് ലാംഗ്വേജ്? ആരെങ്കിലും റെസ്പോൺസ് ചെയ്യാൻ? Did you study UML in fourth semester? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Somebody say yes or no. Okay. So did you study UML in fourth semester? I think I have seen the notes here. UML, and also in the syllabus, it was also there. It is UML and the various diagrams. The same language has been repeated here. And I hope you have drawn class diagram, object diagram, etc. in the fourth semester. The same diagrams are being used here also. So this language UML, it is a unified modeling language, was developed by OMG, Object Management Group, OMG, and this OMG is a consortium that is concerned with designing standards for object-oriented systems. So it is a standard modeling. UML is considered as a standard modeling language, which was introduced by OMG for building models based on object-oriented concepts. So most of the most of the symbols that it covers is based on object orientation. It is a graphical language which with well-defined syntax and semantics. That is, it gives some graphical notations, and based on this graphical notation, we can use this graphical notations to draw designs, and this design will correspond to the product that you are going to develop. So what are the components involved in UML? What are the things that are being defined in UML by OMG? That is what we are going, that's an overall view which you have already studied. I'm going to just go through what all these things, or the basic building blocks of UML. So the basic building blocks of UML include basically three blocks, that is things, relationships, and diagrams. So the basic building blocks of UML includes things, relationships, and diagram. UML is nothing but unified modeling language. So this language involves notations for defining things. It includes notations for defining relationships, and it includes certain diagrams which we can use to implement our system, to design our systems. So what are these things? Now, things in UML, it includes four kinds of things. That is structural things, behavioral things, annotational things, and grouping things. And what are these four things? Things are of four types. The structural things, they come under the nouns of they are the nouns of the UML model. Like student, it is a noun, so we convert it into a structural thing. Another, if there are nouns like defined, like books or library, books in a library, they are all examples of nouns. And these nouns, as you know, noun is the name of a person, place, animal, or thing. So anything that comes in that sort in our project, it will be converted as structural things. And they are the static parts, that is, they do not change. Once a student is defined, it's a person and we cannot change it. And they represent elements that are either concept, it can be a conceptual thing or a physical thing. Like a student is a physical thing, whereas a transaction, it can happen for some time and then it can disappear. So such things, conceptual things, are also there. And there are 7 kinds of structural things: classes, interfaces, collaborations, use cases, active class, components, and nodes. These are the 7 things, 7 structural things. So class is a structural thing. You know what a class is, and it is represented as a rectangle with 3 compartments, which includes the name of the class, attributes, and operations. These were all studied in 4th semester. That's why I'm going fast. Then interface. Interface is a collection of operations. Interface represents a collection of operations that a class performs. So you can define an interface with a circle and write the name of the interface near the circle with capital I, showing that it is an interface followed by the name of the interface. So this class is a class that checks for spellings and an example class. So it is this interface is often attached to a class, or it can be to a component. Never stands alone. It is defining something, so it is often attached to a class or a component. Then collaboration is a collection of elements that work together for forming a single function to provide a cooperative behavior. That is, finally, the end result will be a single output, and but to achieve that output, you need a collection of elements. To show the collection of elements, we use the collaboration notation in UML, and collaboration is defined as an ellipse with dashed lines with the name of the collaboration inside. Then you have use case. Use case is a sequence of actions, or you can say that it is a particular scenario of a system. And the scenario, the entire scenario will contain a sequence of actions, and finally, at the end of the sequence, something is returned to the end user. Either it can be a value, or it can be any result can be is returned to the end user. So a sequence of operations in UML is defined as a use case, and use case is represented as a solid ellipse with the name of the use case written inside it. Then there is the active class. It is just like a class, but with thickened borders. The borders are shown thickened, and the difference is that the objects of this class represents elements whose behavior depends on some other elements. If some other element, the value of some other element changes, then the value of this object also changes. Objects in the active class also changes. So it is concurrent with the value of some other element. That is, for real-time applications, we usually use active classes. Then components. Components, they are physical and replaceable part of a system. Like it can be a particular file which you can delete and replace with another file, etc. So this represents a file named orderform.java, a Java file, and this component is represented by a _ in the side, and this notation is used for representing components. If you want to show a particular file, you can use this component structure. Then the last thing is the node. Node is a computational resource. It can be a computer or anything that has memory and which has processing capabilities. Any unit that has a memory or that has or with processing capabilities, or which acts as a computational resource, can be called as a node, Node, node in UML. And this node is represented as a cube with the name of the node written inside. So server. And to represent a server, you use this node notation, because server is a system that has memory, it has computing capability, and also it exists at runtime. So these are the 7 structural things in UML. Then you have the behavioral things. They are the verbs of the UML. We said structural things are the nouns of the UML model. Then here we say that behavioral things are the verbs of the UML model. Verbs are something that when some action is being done by the system, we convert that action into a behavioral thing in the UML diagram. So they are the verbs of the UML model, and they are the dynamic parts of the UML. That is something that is keeping on changing, and they represent behavior over time. And so something happens, the behavior of the thing, if it changes over time, then we call it as then that particular thing comes under behavioral things. There are 2 primary kinds of behavioral things. One is the interactions, and second is the state machines. Now, interaction is a set of objects exchanging messages to accomplish a purpose. So, one object sending a message to another, like, and one object, say O1 is sending a display message to another object O2. Then that interaction between the 2 objects is represented by a solid line with an arrowhead and the name of the interaction written above the line. Then next is the state machine. State machine, as you know, it is any behavior, anything that the system performs, any behavior that the system performs can be represented using a state. Like suppose a switch is on or a switch is off. That is the particular state of a switch. Then switch on and switch off are the 2 states, because from one state it can go to another state. So to represent that, we use state machines, and state to represent the state we use rounded rectangles. So the corners are rounded, and rounded rectangles are used. to represent state machines. If it is a simple rectangle, then it represents a class, but if it is a rounded rectangle, then it represents state machines. Then the third kind of thing is the annotational thing. So things are of four kinds: structural things, behavioral things, and the third kind is annotational things. Annotational things are the explanatory parts. If you want to write any comments for the design, you can use the annotational thing. And the one of the primary annotational thing that is used for writing comments is called a note, N-O-T-E, note. And this represents a rectangle with a dog-eared corner. One corner will be folded inwards. I hope you can see the figure. The corner of the rectangle will be folded inwards. This is called a dog-eared corner. And this particular symbol is used to represent note. And this note, wherever you want to write a note or a comment, you can use this symbol and write inside that, so that other people who are going to use your design will understand what you mean. So comments are often helpful for communication between team members. Then they are the organizational part of the UML model. Grouping things are the organizational part of the UML model. And the primary part means it groups components or classes, etc., together, and then it forms a single unit. To form a single unit, which is a collection of classes or components, etc., you need a mechanism, and that is called grouping thing. An example of a grouping thing is the primary grouping thing is package. So hope if you're writing a Java program, you might have imported packages into your program, and this package includes a collection of classes. So to show a collection, we use a package. So package is a general purpose mechanism for organizing elements into groups. And inside the package, you can place structural things, behavioral things, and other grouping things can be placed inside a package. Anything, anything that is defined in UML can be placed inside a package, and they are purely conceptual. That is, they are just for descriptional purpose. They do not exist during development time. And graphically, it is represented as a tabbed folder. This representation is called a tabbed, T-A-B-B-E-D, tabbed folder. And tabbed folder is a rectangle with a small rectangle on top of it. And this is called a tabbed folder. And the package is represented in UML using tabbed folder. So anybody who's going to design systems using UML, they will be designing these standard notations. They cannot use their own notations, but they can use only these standard notations to design the system, so that seeing this particular notation, others will be able to understand that it is a package. So to bring uniformity into design, OMG had designed UML for modeling object-oriented systems. So these are the structural things in your, they're the things in UML, four kinds of things in UML. So that was the first building block, things in UML. Then second is the relationships in UML. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? Hello? Hello? How many building blocks were there for UML? What are the basic building blocks of UML? Can anyone say what are the basic building blocks of UML? You can unmute and answer. Hello? What are the basic building blocks of UML? Okay, things. Then, how many building blocks? Relationships, things, relationships, and one more, one more building block. Diagrams. Okay, okay. Things, relationships, diagrams. I was speaking about things in UML. How many kinds of things are there? How many kinds of things? The first building block is things. How many kinds of things? How many kinds? Nobody knows the answer. There were 4 kinds of things. First building block was things, and there are 4 kinds of things: structural things, behavioral things, annotational things, and grouping things. So things are of 4 kinds: structural things, behavioral things, annotational things, out of which structural things are of 7 kinds. Okay, structural things are of 7 kinds: classes, interfaces, collaborations, use cases, active classes, components, and nodes. These are the 7 kinds of structural things. The next was behavioral things. Behavioral things include two types. One is interaction, the other is state machines. Then annotational thing, the most important annotational thing is the note, N-O-T-E, note. And grouping thing, the primary kind of grouping thing is the package. So these are the things in UML. Okay. Can you understand? Are you able to hear me? Okay. So now did you get the classification, Harida? Okay. Now I'm going to the next building block, and that is relationships. Relationships in UML. So there are 4 basic relationships in UML. It is that it includes dependency, association, generalization, and realization. Okay. Uh, Sorry for the interruption. So there are 4 kinds of relationships in UML. What are the 4 kinds? 4 basic relationships in UML. Hope you're writing down what I'm saying as an outline. What are the 4 basic relationships in UML? Amruda. Amruda P. Okay. Dependency. Again, 3 more. Dependency, association. Okay. Association. Dependency, association, generalization, and realization. Dependency, association, generalization, and realization. So, dependency, what is dependency? Now, we can define this relationship as a semantic relationship. Semantics means a meaningful, a meaning relation. The meaning of semantics is the meaning of the relationship. That is, once a particular meaning of an object changes, the meaning of another object also changes. It is a semantic relationship between two things in which a change to one thing, that is an independent thing, may affect the semantics of another thing, that is the dependent thing, and it is represented as follows, like a dashed line with a arrowhead, an arrow pointing to the dependent thing. Now, what is this dependent thing and what is this independent thing? What is dependent thing and what is independent thing? Suppose I'm writing an equation. Suppose I'm writing an equation. X is equal to y square plus 3. X is equal to y square, uh, 2y, 2y plus 3. X is equal to 2y plus 3. Which is the dependent thing and which is the independent thing? Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Okay, which is the dependent thing and which is the independent thing? I have two variables defined here. Which is the dependent variable, which is the independent variable? Y is x is equal to 2y plus 3, which is the dependent variable and which is the independent variable. Which is the dependent variable and which is the independent variable. Simple equation, isn't it? Hello? Did you hear my question? Did you understand my question? Okay, x depends on value of y. So x is the independent or dependent variable. So x, we call x as dependent variable and y as independent variable, isn't it? So as the value of y changes, the value of x also changes. So once value of y changes, then x changes. X value of x also changes. So x is dependent on y. So to show the relationship between such variables, we use the dependency relationship and we write x, y on either sides and draw this dependency relationship. And when you draw the relationship, the arrow will point to the dependent thing. So dependent thing is x. So on the right side you will have x, and on the left side you will be having y. Y is x is dependent on y. So the arrow here, it points to the dependent thing. So that is what is meant by dependency relation. That is when the value of one changes, the value of the other thing also changes. The next is association. So it is a, because here we said it is a semantic relationship, but here we say that it is a structural relationship. And structural relationship means which all things depend on which other thing. It just shows the connection between the things involved. If one thing is connected to another thing, or if one thing is taking some value or giving output to another thing, then it is shown by an association relationship. And graphically it is represented as a solid line. And possibly, and if you simply draw a solid line, it represents association relationship. But in this association relationship you can have many things, additional features added to this particular line, and we call all these additional things written around the line as adornments. ADORNMENTS, adornments. And these adornments give special meaning to this relationship. For example, if I'm writing employee on one side and employer on the other side, then it represents an association between an employee and an employer. And if I'm going, I can name the relationship, and the name can be written above the line, like works for, with the direction given with the solid triangle. And in this case, we can read the relationship as employee works for employer. And so there is a link between the employee and employer, and the relationship is works for. Then that we call it, we call that relationship as label. So we can label the relation, the association relationship. And also another thing also can be shown about the relationship, near the relationship. That is, I've shown a star and one double dot star, and thus that shows multiplicity or cardinality. That is, there can be many employees depending on one or more employers, but they're working for one or more employers. So everything can be shown in a single relationship. And these names, employee, employer, etc., they are known as role names. So these are the basic things that can be shown in an association relationship, like multiplicity, role names, labels, etc. They are all called together. They are all called adornments of the relationships in UML. And this multiplicity can be one to one or one to many multiplicity. Now, there are the association relationship has two variants. One is aggregation, another is composition. So, two variants of association relationship are aggregation and composition. And variants means they are association relationship but with slight differences. And aggregation represents a part of relationship. A part of relationship is represented. A part of means, for example, there are several departments which forms a part of a college. So each department is a part of college. So to show that it is a part of the college, you represent aggregation relationship. So several departments aggregate to form a college. So it represents, and we represent that feature or that case. That is, if you're defining a college. If you want to define a college system, college management system in UML, then you have to show there are different departments coming under a single college. So it can be shown as an aggregation relationship. And this is shown like this. It is again, it is a solid line. Solid lines often represents association relationship, but at the end of the relationship, there is a diamond and a hollow diamond at the end. And whenever you see a hollow diamond at the end with a solid line, then it shows aggregation relationship, or we call it as a part of relationship. Then another variant of association is the composition relationship, and it represents aggregation with strong ownership relationship. That is, if that particular thing is removed from the relationship, then the entire system will not work. So it is a strong ownership relationship, and it is represented as the same as the aggregation relationship, but the hollow diamond will become solid diamond here. So that is known as composition, and the difference is that it represents strong relationship, because if that particular thing is removed from the aggregate, then the aggregate does not exist. So only with the presence of this aggregate component, the entire thing exists. If you are going to remove that component, the entire thing does not exist. So it represents strong relationship. Then the third basic relationship in UML is generalization. Generalization is nothing but, you might have studied inheritance, like to show that one class is derived from another class. The base class is called the parent class, and the derived class is called the child class. So to show that relationship, we use the generalization relationship, and it is a parent-child relationship, and it is represented as a solid line with a hollow triangle at the end and pointing to the parent. And here the child is called the specialized element because it has features of all the features of parent plus some additional features. So we call child as the specialized element, and this child can be substituted for the parent because all features of parent has been derived by the child also. That is generalization relationship. Next, last relationship is realization. And realization, it is the relationship between two elements in which one element realizes the behavior specified by another element. So there will be two elements. For example, we have said collaboration before, and collaborations can be realized using classes. So to show relationship between collaborations and classes, we use realization relationship because collaboration is a set of operations. To implement the set of operations, you need classes. So to show that collaborations, to show the relationship between these collaborations and classes, we use realization relationship. Collaboration alone cannot implement anything, but it has to depend on classes to implement its functionality. So in that case, we represent the relationship as a realization relationship. And as you see from the symbolic representation, we can say that it is a cross between dependency and generalization. cross means dependency is shown by dashed lines and generalizations hollow triangle is adopted. Dependency is solid line and generalizations hollow triangle is adopted to create this simple, that is solid dashed lines with hollow triangle. The dashed line shows dependency, hollow triangle shows generalization, and combining these two you get realization. So that was the second thing in UML, and the third is diagrams. So I think it's time to stop. Now say your attendance, please. Abhilash A. Okay. Abhinav Chandran.
Present, Miss.
Abhinav.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Ansab. Roll number 5. Roll number 6. Roll number 7. Roll number 7. Arjun. Roll number 8. Ashwin. Ashwin. Wait a minute.
അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുന്നത്
Atul. Atul Dinesh. Absent. Atul Satyapal. Number 12. Number 13. Number 14. Number 16. Number 17. Number 18. Number 20. Number 22. Sharath PV nalle, Sharath. Then number 23. Number 23.
Miss,
23 undo, 23. Okay. 24. 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 32. 33. Number 3, Amal. Okay. So only one person is absent. Atul Dinesh. Only one. He was absent yesterday. Atul Dinesh വന്നിട്ടില്ലേ ഇതുവരെ? ഒരു ക്ലാസ്സിലും ഇല്ല. Okay, thank you.